This scene is how I feel about the college education system. Now, let's go ahead and get right into it, guys. This is how I feel about art school. There are lots of pros and cons to going to art school, but I'm going to get into the 4 major ones for me. So I think the first pro for me of going to art school is getting used to deadlines. I think a lot of things that we do in life has deadlines. We're always going to have something to turn in at a certain date. We're always going to have a deadline in our jobs, in our careers. It's always good practice to make deadlines for ourselves, even if we're our own boss. That's something that I think the college education system does a good job at, is giving you deadlines, giving you due dates, getting you used to the fact that you need to turn things in at a certain date. And that's not just even art school though. Every single degree that you can get out there, every single college that you can go to, that is going to be something in place, is getting used to deadlines. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's something that the school system has set up really well in order for us to learn. The second pro to going to art school, in my opinion, is the opportunities for critiques. If you don't know what a critique is, it's where somebody can sit down with you, take a look at your artwork, and judge it based off of objective opinion. There are some subjective things to it as well, but let you know things that you need to work on in order to improve. And they're very, very helpful for artists, especially young artists that are getting used to basic principles of art. I think critiques are one of the most valuable things that you can get in an art degree. And I think that they're really hard to get outside of art school, although not impossible. There are places and there are classes that you can take, like I know Stan Prokopenko does critiques for people that are in his courses. Marshall Vandruff, if you ever listen to their podcast, they talk about doing critiques all the time. If you look for people, I think New Masters Academy, they do critiques as well. If you take their courses and pay for it, which they're not expensive, you can get access to professional critiques outside of the classroom setting. However, you have very easy access to critiques inside the school setting. Every single project that you work on, you will be getting critiqued on. There's a time set across for each project at the end of doing it, and sometimes even halfway into a project, you'll be able to do a soft critique, and at the end, you'll be able to do that hard critique and let people know what they can do in order to improve on their next project. It's a really helpful part of being in art school. I think it helps a lot of artists. I know it helped me, and I think that might be one of the pros and one of the things that might make it worth for you to go to art school. The third thing I want to talk about as far as pros to art school, and this is more in the generalistic terms of going to school, not even just going to art school in particular, is getting that degree or certificate upon completion of the program. It's a lot of money, which we'll get into that later. That degree can give you a lot of opportunities that you would not have had if you had not received it. And I'm speaking from first-hand experience because that was one of the things that really pushed me to end up graduating from art school, is the degree. Just because I was bachelored, I was able to work in a field that was able to pay me a lot more money and help me support my family. So that degree and that certificate upon completion of getting done with art school, that can help you out in getting a job. Whether it be in the art field or not, it doesn't really matter. That degree is basically telling people that you know how to follow directions, that you're intelligent enough to go through courses, that you're hardworking enough to stick through it, and that you can follow deadlines. The fourth thing I want to talk about, as far as pros to art school is the networking and the connections. In my experience, I didn't have a lot of this. There were professionals in the field that came and helped us and talked to us and gave us explanations of what it was like to work in the industry. A lot of the professors that taught us at our school, they were networked with local galleries, and which I can get into that a little bit later. But a lot of those professors, they worked in galleries, they worked hand in hand with galleries to show their work and sell their work in gallery exhibits. Now, for me, that wasn't something that I really wanted. I thought it was interesting to show work in galleries, but it wasn't something that was a particular goal of mine. It wasn't ever something that I really wanted to do. Now, there are artists out there that would love to do that, and that's all they want to do with their artwork is show it at galleries, and that's completely fine. If that's something that you want to make a goal and a priority, then good on you, more power to you. However, for me, my big problem with the school that I went to was there was no big connections or networking for people in the industry as far as digital painting goes, or as far as 3D animation goes. There's no connections really to anybody that worked at Pixar or Disney or DreamWorks or any video game companies that I might have wanted to work for. That was really disappointing for me. Speaking of cons, we can actually just go ahead and start talking about them. The first one that I want to talk about is the freaking cost, man. You're paying for an education that you can receive elsewhere at a much cheaper cost. So for example, my overhead right now is looking at $50,000 of student debt that I have to pay down. And the thing is, there are a lot better courses out there online from New Masters Academy, from Proco, from a lot of YouTubers who are posting free tutorials and free art help. You can receive those lessons at a much cheaper cost than having to go to art school. The second big con for me, there are a ton of unnecessary courses. You're loaded up with courses, half of them aren't even art classes, and they take up more time and brain space than the actual art classes do. And that's not because art classes are less difficult or less thought-provoking, it's because those classes, the general education courses that you have to take, they load you up with busy work. You have to do homework every single night. You have to be doing all this crap that you don't want to be doing as far as what you're wanting to achieve with your degree. Whereas the art classes are studio practices. So you go in, you practice drawing, you practice painting, you practice 3D modeling, you practice animation. And yeah, you have homework. But it wasn't like the homework where you have to be doing research, you have to be doing things through textbooks. It was something that was a little bit more ridiculous for me, having to go through general education courses. I can go on a rant about this for days. And I think a lot of, not even art students, but just students in college in general can talk about how much they hate this for the rest of their lives, probably. It's not just an art school thing, it's an every school thing, and I'll talk about that here in a second. But the third big thing for me about art school was there was a lack of focus. I wanted my education to focus on digital painting and 3D modeling or animation because those were the things that I was interested in. Those were the fields of work that I wanted to go in after school. But because of other foundational classes you have to take, and I say foundational, some of them aren't really foundational. There seems to be a lack of focus on the actual thing you want to major in. So for example, there are foundational courses that I would agree and I'm strongly opinionated that they are necessary to building up skills that you need for later advanced courses. For example, I would suggest that every art student should take a drawing course at some point, learn how to do the fundamentals of drawing, working out perspective, working out forms and shapes, and working out lighting. I think there's a lot of things that fundamental classes can teach students that will help them out greatly in their later on art school or later on in their art career. However, there are other courses that I had to take while I was in art school that were considered fundamentals that have not helped me at all whatsoever. For example, I had to take this course called 3D Mixed Media, which is a sculpture class. And I say this fundamental class was a waste of time because it was. I don't think there was anything in there that I didn't know from drawing and that I couldn't work out in a 3D modeling course. I can learn how to 3D sculpt and 3D modeling. I don't need to take a physical 3D mixed media class as a fundamental course in order to figure out 3D modeling and 3D sculpting. That's something that could have been condensed into one class, and it's something that I didn't need. That's what I mean by a lack of focus. There should be more classes, advanced classes in a degree that you want to take and that you can take and can elect to take that can focus and build your skills in the way that you want. That's one of my biggest problems with art school, is that they load you up with so many fundamental courses and there is a severe lack of advanced courses for us to take. The fourth big con for me was working and going to school at the same time. Now, there are going to be people out there that say, oh dude, I'm not going to have to work and go to school at the same time. And dude, great on you. If you don't have to do that, you are among a very few and elect people that do not have to work and go to school at the same time, and you are very lucky to not have to do that. But I spent the last 7 years of my life just absolutely destitute in order to get this degree. And not only that, but I have a massive amount of debt on top of it, which sucks. But the whole working and going to school at the same time is draining. It really beats you down while you're in school. Having to survive while you're taking these classes is insane. So, my overall experience with art school, it's neutral to slightly negative. In my head, this is a no-brainer. A bachelor's degree should be a 2-year program. A bachelor's degree should not be a 4-year program loaded in with general education courses that you already took in high school. It should be advanced courses of the programs that you need to take in order to know how to get into your field and how to do the job well. Now, is it worth it to have the bachelor's degree for me? I think it is. I don't think it's worth $50,000 or higher. Do I hate the debt? Most definitely. But I think there are things that art school has done for me that I wouldn't have had if I hadn't gone. You know, if the degree is worth it for you and is going to help you out in the long run, I think that it is worth it. However, for most people, I don't think that art degree will matter to them. If you are just trying to improve in your artwork and not have a degree, then you don't need to go to art school whatsoever. There's so many resources out there, guys, for artists that it's ridiculous. It doesn't even make any sense why there's even traditional art schools anymore. However, if money's not a question for you, then you should probably go to art school. I mean, if you want to get that degree and spend money to do it, then go ahead and do it. Which, that might not be a lot of you, so, have fun. But anyways, those are my thoughts on art school and whether or not it's worth it. Hopefully this has helped some of you who have been considering it. And hopefully I haven't, too strongly deterred some of you away from going if it was your main goal and it's a dream of yours. If it's a dream of yours to go to art school and to improve, by all means go and do it. I think that education is going to take an interesting turn in the next 10 to 20 years. I don't think that it's going to be the same. It can't continue to be the same way that it has been for the past 10 to 15 years. Anyways, I hope this has helped you guys out. I hope you all have a great week. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep supporting the channel, please hit that subscribe button and follow me and give the video a like. Do all of the things. Y'all take care. Fulfill all of your art dreams and love you too. Bye.